Hello and welcome back to Green Valley Zoo, episode 8 I believe it was. Just a short episode this one, kind of a mini episode, so no major projects going on in it. It's mainly detailing around the outside of the otter enclosure from the last episode. As you can see, I'm creating a sort of a living wall on this side. These panels of greenery are just my favourite piece in this whole game, I think, at the moment. They're so versatile, you can do so many things with them, but I thought they worked really nicely, just sunk into these logs. It really looks very natural, like the greenery has just grown up from the ground and gone in the gaps. So yeah, I think it worked out really nicely, actually. It's quite time consuming doing this, and I certainly didn't want to do the entire outside area of the otter enclosure like this. I wanted to come up with different ideas of walls, but yeah, this was the first one that I came up with, and I think it looks pretty good. Bit fiddly in places, trying not to let the backs of the panels show through, but it wasn't too hard really. And I thought about adding more onto the wall, putting some bigger ferns or something on there as well, but when I stood back and looked at it, it really didn't need anything. Also considered putting them on the floor here. Also considered these rocks, another one of my favourite pieces, but they just didn't look right. And then it occurred to me that all of these plants are very mossy, they like damp conditions, and so it made sense to have some mossy rocks at the bottom. So that's what I went with in the end, and I think it came out pretty well. I do love these mossy rocks. I love all the rocks in this game, and you just keep on plonking them down and adding to them, and they end up looking very natural in the end. So yeah, really happy with that. I do hope you're enjoying this so far, and I hope my commentaries aren't too boring. I like to explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, because it won't always make sense why I'm doing things the way I am. But obviously, if you have any suggestions on what I talk about during these videos, then I'll welcome that. I will tell you, I am recording quite a few of these videos before actually releasing any of them onto my YouTube channel. As of today, I still haven't actually started my YouTube channel, so I think by the time I do, I'll probably have 10 or 11 episodes of this pre-recorded and ready to release. So obviously I can't react to any feedback at the moment, but hopefully eventually, if and when people actually find my channel and watch my videos, then eventually I will be able to pay attention to anything you have to tell me, and any ideas and suggestions of what I can do to improve the videos or the commentaries. But at the moment I am just winging it a bit and going with my instincts. I do also apologise about the quality of my video editing skills. I'm not a professional video engineer or anything. I really am making stuff up as I go along. I've got myself a basic video editing piece of software, and I am trying to figure out how to use it. So hopefully over time my editing will improve. But I like to think that's part of my charm, is that I'm quite amateurish, but I put the effort in, and hopefully people like what I have to say. Anyway, let's talk about what's on the screen here. I thought about this area. There's obviously two sort of symmetrical areas, both here and then on the other side, and I thought there would be quite solid structures, because these raised platforms are obviously very well built. They would be designed to hold an awful lot of weight, and so I thought they'd probably have some concrete around them, and this, I think it's limestone pillars that I think they look really nice. They've got a lovely texture to them, but in reality they would be cheap, easy to manufacture and easy to install. But they make a nice border, a nice edge, and then I've left a gap and put some soil in there, and now I'm just placing some greenery, some palms, continuing the theme. I do love these palms. I thought with these, I can't remember what these particular ones are called, but I thought I'd put them in and put them at an angle just to add a slightly different effect in this border. I think they work okay. It's not brilliant because obviously they're designed to look like they're hanging straight down, and so the foliage doesn't quite hang correctly when you put them at an angle. But I think you can get away with it. And then just filling in the gaps. I didn't want to completely cover this border so you couldn't see the soil. I liked the look of the soil against, the dark soil against the light limestone. So I haven't completely covered it up, but it is fairly dense. I love these little lobster plants. They just add a nice little bit of colour and some different leaf shape. And then I just wanted to obviously just get some lights on there as well. This is something I've learnt from the past when I used to play Planet Coaster. You do loads and loads of building, and then suddenly you put it to night time and you realise you've forgotten to put any lights anywhere and you can't see anything, and you have to go back and do loads of lighting all at once, and it gets very tedious. So I'm trying to remember this time to do the lighting as I go along. So yeah, it's a pretty simple thing, but actually I think that came out very nicely. And then quick jump, you can see obviously I didn't show you me building the other side, but it's basically the same. And then this side, I didn't want to do the same with the logs that I did on the other side for the living wall. I wanted to do something a bit different, and so I thought of another living wall, but with different materials. So this one is made to obviously look very fake. So they've obviously put these big concrete slabs up, and then these fake rocks, again using these faux rocks. They're so good, these pieces. You can use them in so many different ways. And in fact, on this board, I'm using the rocks and the living panels as well, as you'll see in a minute. But for now, I'm just putting these rocks on, covering it up, and then I'll do the same on the back side. But what I did on purpose, you can see the backs of these rocks are hollow. They obviously they look like they're big fake rocks because that's what they are. There you go, you can see there. So they look fake. And at first I started trying to cover up the backs, and then I realised it wasn't necessary, and it really wasn't going to work either. It would never look like real rocks. And so I thought, yeah, just go with it. Just have some of the backs, the hollow bits showing a little bit. It doesn't matter. I mean, I was going to put a load of foliage over as well anyway, so that would cover up quite a lot. You can see how I was trying to manoeuvre it, and then of course the more you manoeuvre it on one side, suddenly you expose the backs from the other side. So in the end I just thought, well, there's no point, let's just leave it. I'll cover some up, and if some shows, then it just makes the whole thing seem a bit more realistic. And obviously again here, just sinking these panels in, and I love it. I think it just looks fantastic. I really do love these panels. You can just use them in many different ways, and on a wall like this, it does look very real. So I like to think the idea of this wall is that obviously the wall is fake, but then they've put the plants on, and over time the plants have actually spread quite naturally along the wall. Wanted to just do some planting, sort of imagining that there's little pockets of soil in the top where they've planted some bigger plants to cover the top of the wall. So obviously I go with my usual ferns, because these ferns are known for growing in tiny little gaps. They really don't need lots of soil. They don't make big root systems. So they're the perfect plant really to put on something like this. Just filling in the back here, and obviously I left myself with this corner here with the pathway, so I had to come up with something for that, and I was pretty happy with what I did up here actually. And then I thought, if this was obviously the zoo would have made this wall artificially, I started thinking, well, why would they do that? And it's either for educational purposes, or for entertainment purposes. And I thought, well, that makes sense. So I thought, well, what they'd do is make a feature out of it. It wouldn't just exist, it would be on the map. It would actually be maybe on the zoo map, and people would actually go specifically here to look at it. And so I thought maybe actually give it a name. So I looked at the end here, and obviously it doesn't look very good, so I thought, well, let's give it a sign, actually give it a name and stick a pillar at the end here. Obviously I didn't like the limestone, it wasn't right, so I found a better looking one. I thought, yeah, that looks pretty decent at the end there. And then just stick a sign on and actually give it a name. And then also I thought, well, it's the sort of things that kids could enjoy. The living wall, it sounds like something that the kids would want to go and look at. And so when it comes to the bit at the top with the circular pathway, I thought, well, let's put a little sign in, like the kids can actually go and study this wall, and so you'll see in a second that I put in a sign saying, how many living species, or how many species can you see on the living wall, I think it says. And it's the sort of thing, in zoos you often get sort of little educational pamphlets and things for the kids to take around, sometimes questionnaires or quizzes for them to go and discover things in the zoo. And so that's what I was thinking here was, the kids would actually have to hunt this down and maybe write down on their piece of paper how many species they find on the wall, and if they get it right they get a prize if they take it back to the ticket office or something like that. I don't know if that's something that happens everywhere in the world, but it's certainly something that happens in England. There's you've got to keep the kids entertained, and as much as they enjoy just walking around looking at the animals, if you can educate them a little bit at the same time, then that's all for the better, really, isn't it? So that was my thinking there, and then just doing my usual, just covering up the edge of the path here. Obviously it was all, the angles weren't quite right, so the living wall obviously is at 90-degree angles on its own, but it wasn't at a 90-degree angle to the pathway, unfortunately, so I just had to fill in the gaps a bit. And then again I thought, let's continue the theme at the bottom with the rocks. Made sense because obviously the whole thing is fake, so it made sense to continue that theme at the bottom. So I did that, and then just a few extra plants at the bottom just to fill it in and make it look natural, make it all sort of blend in together. So yeah, pretty simple stuff, but when it all comes together, it can look looks really nice. Right here, this is interesting. So what you're going to see here, just off to the side here, there's a whole building which you won't have seen before, and you won't see me build it. This building, it's nothing functional, it's just a background building, and it's something that I actually did in one of my other zoos, and I just copied it over here because it's a nice looking building and I really liked it. And I thought, well, zoos have lots of buildings that aren't for the public, they're just there, they're offices or they're education centres, or they're part of the zoo that the public don't really get inside. And so that's what this building is. And so here what I'm doing is just filling in the gaps between the otter enclosure and this building, and just separating it a bit so the public can't really see what's going on back there. So there will be a real-time segment after this time lapse where I will show you that building in a bit more detail, because I have done a bit more work to it. And obviously I will walk around the otter enclosure as well, because I have done some extra bits to that. But yeah, for now I just wanted this big rock border in here. I thought it looked pretty nice. Just getting some different plants on here, obviously my usual ferns, but I thought these little is it arrow brush? I could have that completely wrong, but they were nice. And then these these tamarind trees, I use these all over the place. They just work really well when you sink them in. It just doesn't look like a tree, it looks like a load of flowers. And it's such a simple thing, but I think they're one of the best flowers in the game, and obviously they're not even a flower. But I really like them, especially against these rocks. They show up really well. And then I thought these statues, I thought the idea of these was that maybe these statues are dedications to animals that have died at the zoo, and so I've got these little plinths here that I've created as a blueprint, and so the idea is that that's a lion that's died at the zoo, and at the other end a gorilla, and that's just a little plaque telling you a little bit of the history of the animal and why they've dedicated a statue to it. This is something that happens again in English zoos whenever they have an animal that's died at a grand old age, and he was sort of famous in the zoo. They will often build a statue and actually have a little statue area where people go and learn about him, and whether he had family and that sort of thing. So yeah, that was the idea here. And then I was trying to do some lighting to light these things up, and the lighting in this game, there's not the diversity of lights that I would like. These ones are too strong. You have to put them so far away from the object, and in the end they're just too strong. Simple as that. They're too bright. But the other ones aren't bright enough, the other spotlights. So you can see what I'm trying to do here, trying to cover them up, and in the end I just didn't like it, so I just got rid of that completely and ended up just putting sinking some of these lights in instead. So we're coming to the end of the video now, so I will leave you there for now, and I will see you again in a minute in the real time. Bye bye. Okay, welcome back to our otters. As you can see, just hopping around in there, happy little things. So yeah, not too much extra to show you, just a few little bits and pieces. I think this enclosure came out quite well actually. The otters are very happy. They dive, which is lovely to see. Let's have a look. You see that it's nice and deep, so they can come down here and do all of their ottery things. It's quite tricky, otters. I've heard other zoo builders say that it's very hard to get them to dive. You have to really make this a very deep area for them to actually dive properly. Yeah, it doesn't seem very good at calculating the depth or the width or anything, but they seem pretty happy coming down here, which is nice. They also do use their box. In fact, there we go, there's one up in the box there now. Oh, look at him, so cute. So cute. You just want to lie down next to him, don't you? Anyway, right, so what else have I done? Not too much. At the back here, I realised that they weren't using this shelter at the back, so I made it a proper hard shelter with a roof, and now they do actually come up here and sit on it, so that's good. And they do, obviously, you can see they do come all over, so I've put lots of enrichment around to encourage them to come further up the back here. That certainly seems to work. So yeah, they're pretty happy, and so am I. I really like this enclosure. I think if this was in real life, I think the otters would be very happy. And obviously, when you come up on here, it's a good view. If you were walking around here, I think you'd be pretty happy being able to look down on the otters in their habitat and swimming around. Put a few education boards around the edge, as usual. Bit of foliage down in the water here as well, just some of this usual stuff, the eel grass and some reeds, nothing too much. Didn't worry about putting anything further down in the depths here. Didn't seem a lot of point to having anything down in there. And then let's have a look. So this is the living wall on this side. And then you've got the border that you saw me building in the time lapse, and what you didn't see was me doing this border. So I couldn't just copy and paste, obviously, because the shape was very different, but it is essentially the same thing. I just did the same technique, same plants and everything, and I think they look pretty nice. Obviously I don't know what I'm doing further out here, so I haven't bothered worrying about an edge along here yet. And then you have the living wall here, which I think looks fantastic. I really do. I think really works nicely. I'm doing my best not to turn around because there's another enclosure behind me here which is the next episode. So I don't want to spoil that for you just yet. So I'm doing my best not to show you. I'll just give you a brief clue. Look at that. Monkeys. It's going to be monkeys. Yes, monkeys next episode. Spoiler alert. Okay. So over to this other building, and again I'm going to try not to show you what's on the other side of this building, because that is a big spoiler for a few episodes time. I'm quite ahead of myself with my building and my voice recording at the moment. I'm afraid it's a bit tricky, but I will do my best not to spoil the future episodes for you. So this building, yes, so this is something I built for my other zoos. It's pretty plain. It's functional. It's not functional, but it's a scenery building, so it doesn't do anything. Although I have put inside, I have put a staff room and a keeper hut, and I think I could have sworn I had another keeper hut somewhere. No, maybe not. I thought I put another one in there. Yes, I did. I put one in this. Yes, I did. Oh no. Yes, there we go. Yes, so there's sorry, there's a keeper hut in this back bit as well, which is for the otters, and then you had the keeper hut and a staff room in here. And the keeper hut, I believe, was for this the tapirs. Yes, that's right. I moved it. So yeah, so I did a bit of detailing around this building. I love the Jeep. And the pallets, some sacks, the bicycle. I made this little area here, sort of a little staff area, like the staff have been sitting out here on their deck chairs on their lunch breaks and enjoying a bit of sunshine. Again, there's no pathway under any of this bit at the moment. There might be at some point, but you know, just some little background items here. I may do a little bit more detailing around the building. Again, obviously I've still got all of this to develop over here, so I don't know what's going to be here, but just these little extra touches here, I think they make quite a lot of difference, and they really do look quite nice. So yeah, so obviously I will do some more all around this side. I won't show you what's on the left there. I don't want to spoil that. Yeah, so that's the otters. Oh, don't want to spoil what's over on the left there either. Wow, this is very hard. Okay, so otters done. Let's get a bit of an aerial view of that without giving too much other stuff away. There we go. So yeah, I like it. I like the otters. I like the two living walls, and I quite like this building over here. You know, zoos have extra buildings that aren't anything to do with the zoo. They're just, you know, their background, their storage, their warehousing, all that sort of thing. And I think that one looks pretty nice. The way I actually built that, I did this main bit, and then I added the two brick bits on, thinking that they were sort of a newer addition to an old building. That was my thinking there. And I thought the contrast of the different roofing styles and the different wall styles actually worked quite well. So using these thin windows is a sort of a forced perspective thing, almost makes it look like there's two levels, when realistically there's not enough space there for two levels. But then maybe inside it's like a warehouse and these are just high up windows. You can decide for yourself, but I think it works. I think it looks quite nice, and yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that, and I'm pretty happy with all of this this otter area actually. I think it'll change obviously depending on what I do around the back here. I don't know what I'm doing there yet, but yeah, really happy with that. So please let me know what you think, whether you like it or not. I always welcome your comments. Like I say, I am recording these quite a way in advance, so I can't as I will reply to comments in the comments, I can't reply to them in my play or my voice overs at the moment, because I'm recording these before they're released, a long way before they're released at the moment. Hopefully that will change once I get my channel actually up and running, but yeah, we shall see. So anyway, I've had a ball making these so far, so I'm just going to keep going. So yeah, thank you very much for tuning in, and any feedback that you do want to give me, and I look forward to making more and releasing more. So yeah, thank you, and hopefully I will see you again soon. Bye for now.